All right, so this week we're going to be looking at Ephesians chapter 6, and today I specifically want to start with verses 1 through 3. Here's what it says. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, because this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may have a long life in the land. Now, you may be asking, John, why do you have this person standing next to you? This is a little awkward. Well, this is Lauren Willis, who's a dear friend of mine. I've known her for ever since I moved here, and I really respect her. But tell us, what is your background? What's your degree in, and those kind of things?
Sure. So my degree is a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and I'm now a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I spent 2 years as a family therapist and individual therapist for adolescents in a rehab facility here in town. And now I am a counselor at the college at Missouri State here in West Plains. So I've had a little bit of experience with both settings, with individuals and families and couples.
So this was one of those deals where obviously there's certain convictions that we come from. So Lauren, let me just ask you, do you believe the Bible?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I knew you did. I just wanted them to hear it. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So when we look at this, do you believe that the Bible is right when it calls or tells children to obey their parents?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to undermine that at all. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the concerns when we first started talking about this. You're like, John, I don't want to undermine that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't want to undermine that. I want to totally encourage children to obey their parents. And so in a perfect setting, in a right setting, this is perfect, right? This is what is good, and children should obey their parents. And we want to be saying that to the kids who are watching, like, you need to be obeying your parents. But today, as we're looking at this also, do you think that it's possible that this scripture could be manipulated or has the potential of being used for people who are abusive?
Unfortunately, it does.
Yeah. So when we look at that, we want to talk about that for just a little bit. What are some of the things that you would think could be a caution there?
Yeah, so there are definitely times when the use of discipline can veer towards abuse, and we want to be cautious of that. And abuse really comes up when the discipline or the interactions become harmful, whether physically, mentally, or sexually towards the child. So I think some of those examples could be some use of manipulation and even sexual abuse as well. That really can involve an authority figure, a parent or caregiver, using that power over a child.
Now, you just used the word manipulation. Mm-hmm. And I have found that nobody that I've ever interacted with thinks that they're manipulative. Like, always they think that what they're doing is justified.
Sure.
The manipulation is something that somebody who's the victim of that feels like somebody else is manipulative. Mm-hmm. Help us understand, what does manipulation mean?
I believe manipulation is really using coercion and finding weakness and different aspects that they know about a person to their own advantage. That can really be undermining and hurtful to the other person as well. So when it leans towards manipulation, it's like, how can I mean, they're not thinking this specifically usually, because like you said, they might not realize it, but it's the idea of, how can I use this person's weaknesses or their emotions or their past or their baggage against them to get what I want and to my own advantage? That's the thing that I think is critical. You used that phrase twice in that answer, is to our own advantage, mm-hmm. like to get our way. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes when we look at parenting, we don't realize that we're using our abilities to get what we want, and not always really what's best for them, or taking into account what's best for them, but really taking into account what's best for us. Would you say that that's a good line to say? That's kind of when we know it's for our advantage rather than what is necessarily best for them? Yeah, absolutely. discipline and consequences can still be shown as a way of loving your child. So don't hear all this as not giving, like, we don't want you to give consequences to your child, but if you have rules for your child as far as don't stick your finger in electrical outlets or don't cross the street without looking both ways, that's a way of showing love to your child because you want them to be protected and to be safe. So that idea of the discipline and the rules and the guidelines and boundaries for your child and their own safety and their own well-being is so important, rather than how can this benefit me as the parent.
Mm-hmm. So one of the ways that I think is easy for me to fall into manipulation is when my children are loud and I'm tired, when my children are rambunctious and I'm worn out, when my children are dramatic and I've had too much emotion in my day. And so my response is about me, and I need you to be quiet because it's too loud for me, or I need you to not be emotional because I've had a dramatic day, or whatever. We lay those things out, and it really isn't about them. It's really more about me. And I don't mean to be manipulative, yet at the same time, I'm doling out consequences that really are inappropriate for what they're doing. Is that so? Then when we interact on these manipulation ideas, I'm trying to help our audience understand we don't intend to be manipulative sometimes, but we need to use that as a filter. Is that really about me and what I need, or is it about what's really best for the kid? Would you feel like that's a good filter to kind of walk through?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when we're looking at those ideas and those thoughts, at the end of the day, I kind of heard you saying, no, we believe in discipline. It's good, and it's actually a way to love the children. And so the filter there would be that we're doing discipline in a way that is helpful to you.
I can see that filter really looking like, what am I communicating to my child through our interactions? Am I communicating to my child that they have worth and they have value, and that they are loved and I can be trusted, and that they are secure with me as the parent? Or am I communicating that they don't have value, that they don't have worth, that they're no good, that they're a bad person? So I think keeping in mind what am I teaching my child through how I'm interacting with them is so important.